1,000 Bitcoin. Joining us now, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy Executive Chairman. Your average, Michael, it's good to have you in studio again. Your average for those 400,000 is 58,000 per Bitcoin, so it's been moving higher as you keep buying at higher prices.
We bought it about 42 times since August of 2020 to today. From August of
and at this point, the strategy is to issue stock or convertible debt of MicroStrategy and use that to buy Bitcoin.
We're a Bitcoin treasury company, so we're securitizing Bitcoin. We're providing high performance equity. We're also providing convertible bonds. We've provided other kinds of bonds in the past, but primarily our job is to bridge the traditional capital markets that want bonds, or they want fixed income, or they want equity, or they want options. And we plug that into the crypto economy, and we use Bitcoin as the vehicle to do that.
What percentage of the public do you think understands Bitcoin at this point? Because I don't know if it helps to go into your strategy, what you just tweeted about. If people don't even understand Bitcoin, and I still see it everywhere, that it's air, or that it's not like gold because you can't make jewelry out of it. Believe it or not, still people saying that because you can't touch it, that it can't be real and it can't represent money. So can we go into how you're arbitraging it to make a return?
Yeah, here's what you need to know.
Okay.
The S&P is about 15 ARR for the past 4 years, and the volatility of the S&P is 15.
Okay.
If you want to own a commodity like silver or soybeans or gold, they have very, very low performance, less than 15%, 5%, 0%. You don't really want to hold soybeans for 100 years. And sometimes they have volatility, but it doesn't last that long. Bitcoin is 60 volatility, 60 ARR, and it is a legal commodity, but it is an economic scarcity. It is the only commodity invented in the history of the human race that's absolutely capped. And so that means you can expect it to keep going up. If I can give you a commodity that outperforms the S&P index, if I can give you a commodity that's more volatile than the S&P index, you can put 100% of your liquid assets in that commodity per SEC rules. I can't do it with a security, by the way. So up until Bitcoin, people had to use gold or real estate as their commodity, or they have to use the US Treasury bill. Those are all underperforming the S&P, and they're less volatile. Bitcoin is the first thing you can use in your treasury that's more volatile, that outperforms the S&P. The result is, if I give you a security, Joe, that outperforms the S&P, how much of it do you want to buy? And if you're an ARB or an options trader, and I give you an option that is 4x the volatility of the S&P, or with MicroStrategy, we're 10x the volatility of the S&P, how much of it do you want to trade? So Bitcoin's unique in the history of the capital markets. It's the first scarcity commodity, outperforming the S&P, more volatile than the S&P, that you can put on your balance sheet.
Volatility at sometimes is not always a good thing. I mean, it's great when something's going higher. But don't think that there'll be a drop or a significant drop that comes along? Have we moved past that because of the regulatory changes that have taken place?
I think it'll remain volatile because it's a 24/7, 365 global asset. You can panic sell it on Saturday night. You can enthusiastically buy it on Sunday morning. That's a feature. Mm-hmm. That's not a bug.
Yeah, you've lived through some of the swings, but do you think we won't see the downturns like we've seen in the past just because of the changes we've seen?
I think it's going to surge through the roof, and then it's going to surge to 180 and crash to 140, and people will be freaking out about it again. But let me make this one analogy. Volatility is like fire, and some people run away from the fire, but Henry Ford put the fire into a carriage via an engine, created an entire industry, and he gave humanity wings.
The cryptocurrency market has been vibrant recently due to a shocking revelation from Michael Saylor, the Bitcoin alchemist himself. His company, MicroStrategy, has amassed a huge fortune in Bitcoin, and evidently you can too. Prominent Bitcoin advocate Max Keiser shares his own sensational predictions with the industry. Stay tuned as we unravel the gripping details of how Saylor's striking moves and Keiser's remarkable declarations might just influence your next investment decision. Welcome back to Investocracy Crypto.
All right, a lot of people in my audience are not going to understand why you can't just store your money in dollars. I have a whole tirade about it, but I'd love to hear why. How do you explain to people why you can't just put your money in a bank account or under your mattress in dollars?
The simple answer is the supply of dollars expands about 7% a year, every year for the past 100 years. And what that means is that if you want to buy something that is a very scarce, desirable asset that the government can't make more of and that manufacturers can't make more of, if technology and capital and machinery and robots can't make more of it, it's scarce and desirable. Here's an example. An acre of beachfront property in Palm Beach, or a beachfront house in the Hamptons, or waterfront property in Miami Beach. That's a desirable place to live. You can't make more of it. And if you go back 100 years, you'll see that the value of that acre was $10,000. And you go forward 100 years, and that is about $10 million. And for those who are very quick at math, they'll realize that works out to 7% increase in price every year for 100 years. And that's why, that's why people buy houses for $100 million on the beach in Palm Beach. And my house, the house that I'm in right now, it was sold in 1930. And I have the deed on my wall. And it was sold for $100,000 in 1930. If you'd put that $100,000 in a vault and you kept it safe and sound for the 90 years, and if you took it out, it would pay about 8 to 12 weeks of my property tax on this house. Like, you literally couldn't keep the house for 8 weeks. Go ahead.
Let me say it in my way. Tell me if this resonates with you. The reason that you can't store your money in cash is that the government steals your buying power by printing more of it. I find it's very sobering to look at it as theft. Does that resonate with you, or do you think I'm being hyperbolic?
No, you're correct. In essence, the inflation of the dollar supply means that your wealth is cut in half every 10 years if you hold all your wealth in cash. And it's the rule of 72, right? You divide 7% into 72. That's the half-life of the asset. So the half-life of your wealth is 10 years if you store it in cash. If someone gives you an asset you can invest in that goes up 7% a year, you're keeping up with inflation. You're not getting wealthier, but you're not getting poorer. You're just treading water, and if you're beating that hurdle rate, then you're getting a bit wealthier. So once you understand that, you can see that you can't preserve your wealth for long periods of time in a fiat currency. And the best fiat currency in the world, Tom, is the dollar. But in most other currencies, they inflate at 14% a year. And that means the half-life of your wealth is 5 years.
Michael Saylor is celebrated for embedding Bitcoin in the heart of MicroStrategy's corporate strategy, where the company started its Bitcoin journey in August 2020 by purchasing sizable amounts of the digital currency with extra cash reserves. The expansion of their Bitcoin arsenal wasn't just based on luck, but an ongoing saga of strategic investment with high stakes and higher rewards. Imagine a billion-dollar business switching gears to become one of the largest holders of Bitcoin worldwide.
Bitcoin is a monetary network where it won't censor where you send your money. It won't freeze your account. And it's engineered in such a way that on the margin, you're winning the game over time. So think of it like, wouldn't it be great if you had a basketball team, you had LeBron James, you had Michael Jordan, and you had the digital version of them, and they played forever, and you could get on the court and play with them. And they're scoring 100 points and you're scoring 2 points, but you're all getting rich together and you're all winning together. That's what Bitcoin is like. It's like everybody gets to play. Everywhere in the world I go, there's like a fan club. There's hundreds of millions of people that are on Team Bitcoin. You should join Team Bitcoin. The 100 million fans would be rooting for you. And the great thing about it is you don't just win the game. You get wealthy while you're winning the game.
So that description is something, and we talked about it a little bit outside. I've always said I've heard Bitcoin fans also say they buy it because they think it's good for humanity. And it's not even about making money necessarily. It's about good for society. I've been very clear. I'm on the make money side of things. And by the way, I believe eventually I got to a point I thought Bitcoin got too big to fail, too many people with money involved in it. And that's why it's interesting to me. So when you're this heavy, and I think you said you just about outside of BlackRock own the most Bitcoin in the world.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know if you can put percentage on, as a good investment financially versus trying to save mankind, if that makes any sense? How do you break it? Did you do it? This is what I think the best way to put my money is, or like I said, it's a moral decision.
I think it's both. I think we got to play the game of life. And half the game of life is economics. And so you have to play the economic game, whether you like it or not. So you can put your money in a Lebanese bank and use Lebanese currency. The government inflates the currency. The bank freezes your assets and you fail at the game of life. You can put your money in any asset in Africa, or you can put your money into Bitcoin. So the real appeal of Bitcoin is everybody in the world, I mean, they don't want to put their money in a bank in the middle of Africa in an African currency you've never heard of, right? But Bitcoin gives you control of your money, right? And is that egalitarian? Yeah. Is that humanitarian? Sure, it is. Is it economically smart? Yeah, right? So they're connected, right? You have to have economic empowerment if you're going to achieve whatever you want in life. And to be economically empowered, you have to be on a network that won't freeze you or censor you. And you got to have an asset that nobody else can debase. No corporation can screw up. No country can screw up. And that's what Bitcoin represents.
In an audacious move, MicroStrategy made headlines with a recent acquisition of $1.1 billion in Bitcoin, pushing their holdings to an astounding 471,107 Bitcoin. This strategic play has shot Saylor's net worth skyrocketing from a humble $1.9 billion to a staggering $9.4 billion within just a few short years. Keiser's captivating statement, $2,200,000 in play, featuring Forbes' take on Saylor's journey, sets an equally exciting stage. It's no small sum, and as Bitcoin dances around the 104,420 mark following a slight dip, all eyes remain watching Saylor. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
During the course of this, since you really got involved in 2020 COVID, we talked about it a little bit early. You're a smart guy, MIT guy. Have you had any doubts at any point? Like, oh, I picked the wrong horse, or you just steadfast? Or were you willing to be like, you know what, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I go bust?
In March of 2020, we all get punched in the face. And for 6 months, you're like, well, do I move to Miami? Do I get in the stock market? Do I buy Bitcoin? What do I do? So for about 6 months, I spent trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And we discovered Bitcoin. And I thought, well, it's not without risk, but everything else is worse. Everything else is a fast death or a slow death. So I'm going to do something new. Over the next 4 years, the risk got taken off. The administration embraced it as a commodity, and that was one risk factor taken off. And then we got the ETFs. That was the second risk factor. And then you got the Trump administration embracing it and the red sweep. That's the third risk factor. And then MicroStrategy, we bought 250 million. We bought 250 million at like 11,800 coin, and then it crashed 20%, Dave.
Yeah.
And we lost $40 million in the next week and a half. And that was.
What are you doing when that happens? Are you like?
I'm figuring out how to buy the next 250 million, because I'm in. You're in. Once you're committed, you're in. And I'm like I'm going to ride it to zero, or we're going to win. But I've decided I want to win. And I knew that if I didn't play the game, I was certainly going to lose. So, that was the difficult time. But then Bitcoin rallied, went back to the all-time high. And from August of 2020 to about a month ago, we raised $10 billion because everybody got behind us and we had a strategy and we committed to it. And then there was the red sweep and big November, and we raised $15 billion in 4.5 weeks.
And you just take that and you buy more Bitcoin.
So now we put 25 billion into the network. But it's like, decide what you're going to do with your life, focus, commit. And yeah, you're going to get punched. You're going to get beat in the face a little bit.
With Bitcoin currently priced at $104,420 and showing signs of future growth, this could be the golden ticket to digital currency investment. Forecasts suggest a bullish road ahead, potentially forging sizable returns for those bold enough to seize the moment. So, what's your take? Will you take a chance on Bitcoin? The conversation about Bitcoin's place in our financial future is only beginning. Share your thoughts and join the discussion below. And finally, if you would like to know more about cryptocurrencies or specifically Bitcoin, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.